Hello, welcome. We're going to be painting this hibiscus flower today, and it's beginner friendly, and we're also going to use some masking fluid. So let's get started. If you want to follow along with the exact picture that I'm using, I'm going to have it available in my Etsy shop, so you can print it and copy or trace it directly onto your watercolour paper. I will leave all the details about that in the description box for you. So this is Schminke masking fluid, and we're going to cover the areas where we don't want to paint on using masking fluid. This here where the middle part of the stem is. This is the second time I'm using masking fluid, and I used this same one from Schminke. I didn't get on very well with it. I think it might have been because the paper was not good paper, because I wanted to test it out. The paper I'm using today is Baohong 100% cotton paper, £140 in weight, so it's a good thick strong paper. This particular brush is SAA, and it's a specific silicone brush specifically for putting on masking fluid. You don't have to have one of these. You can just use an old brush if you would prefer, but don't use a good quality brush because I believe it will ruin the bristles, hence the reason why this is a silicone brush. I hope that makes sense. I'm adding the masking fluid here where there's highlights in the petals. I'll bring the picture up for you actually. I'm also adding on the masking fluid quite thick. I think the reason why it didn't work for me the first time was because I think I was a bit scared to put it on as well. But when I read the instructions and looked online, you do actually put it on quite thick and then rub it off afterwards using your finger or a rubber. Obviously we'll do that at the end. I'm switching to my Escoda brush size 8, and we're going to do layer 1. So I've got my palette here. I'm mixing up some Sennelier bright red, and I'm just going to add in a touch of Winsor & Newton permanent rose. Really lovely colours, and you'll notice I'm keeping the colours quite watery. So we're going to use the wet on wet technique, but this first bit, I guess you could call it the wet on dry technique because the paper is dry. I'm adding on wet paint, but only really light pigment. I am working quite quickly as well because the weather here at the moment in the UK is about 28, 29, 30 degrees. So I am working quite quickly. All I've done here is taken a touch more pigment and just added that to the centre part of the petal, and just letting that blend and flow and bloom nicely within that petal. This is the best part about watercolours, I think, is just watching it, how the paints or the pigment flows on the paper. I just love it. I absolutely love it. The other thing I want to mention is I'm not perfect at painting, by the way. This is not going to be an exact replica of the picture of what you can see up in the corner here. And I know there's lots of artists and painters that paint like that and produce some quality painting, amazing paintings. I'm here for beginners just to tell you that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to paint everything in one go. You can paint one petal at a time. All I've literally done here is put the paint down and just use the brush to move the paint around. Watercolours, I find a lot of it is just repeating the same process. The only difference is each layer you might be adding more water, you might be adding less water, more pigment or less pigment. We're not going to paint these two petals because the masking fluid hasn't quite 100% dried just yet. So we're going to start on this next petal next to it. I'm not too fussed if the paint does run into each other on a petal next to a petal like I've done in my previous videos. I think that's because it is quite hot at the moment and it is drying quite quickly. Exactly the same thing. Keep it nice and light and watery. Pop your paint down. Start adding a touch of a touch more pigment, and just watch that bloom, watch that flow into the petal. Just add little bits, don't do too much. If you haven't got the exact same paints, the same paper, the same brush, please use what you have got. I've always said, use what you've got. Your results might be different. In fact, I'm sure they will be different, not in a bad way. Even if I did this again on a different piece of paper using different brushes or different paints, it will look completely different. I find it really hard to reproduce exactly the same painting. I forgot to add a touch of the lemon yellow into the other petal, so I'm going to add that in here now, and I'm just going to add that into the other petal as well, just to give it a bit more interest and just to try and make it look like the sun is on there as well. Because this is a base layer, we're just doing the base colours basically, and then when we add more to it, we'll use a bit more pigment to bring it even more to life. In case we haven't met, I'm Shanaz and this is Bloom Art by SW. I've got some other videos that you might very well be interested in. I will leave those links in the description box. I'm also going to leave you, like I mentioned at the beginning, I will leave you an outline of the picture in my Etsy shop as well, if that is something you would prefer to have. I'm on the third petal now. Do you see what I mean? Exactly the same thing at the moment whilst we do our base colours. I've gone in with a bit more lemon yellow on this side and just keep doing the same thing. Still keep everything nice and light and watery, exactly the same way. This particular session is also part one. I was debating with myself whether to speed parts of this up or keep it in real time. I've decided to keep it in real time for you so you can see exactly what I do to create the effect that I want to create. So as you can see me doing here, I'm just popping some paint down. I'm not really painting the petal, I'm sort of moving the paint around with the brush. As a result, with me keeping everything in real time, it has made the video about an hour long, and I didn't want to upload an hour video. I just think having bite-sized chunks would be better for you if you are a beginner. I'll do my best to get the other parts uploaded as soon as possible for you as well. Let's just carry on with the base colour. So this particular petal I'm doing here is sort of behind. I'm not particularly good at doing exact realism, so I'm just using this flower as a guide, an inspiration, an idea of where the shadows should go, where the light should go. It's not going to be 100% perfect. Make sure you have fun as well, enjoy the process. I really want to get these two petals painted, but the masking fluid is tacky, it's kind of sticky-ish, so I should wait. So let's do the leaves. Lemon yellow is what I am mixing up here. Same thing in terms of keeping it nice and light and watery, and I'm just adding a touch of ultramarine deep blue from the Sennelier range, and I'm just gonna pop the colours down like this, nice and light, nice and gently. You don't even have to cover the whole thing. And then we're just going to do another one as well. Not the petal, I very nearly did the petal there, so just do the leaves for now in exactly the same way. I also want to take this opportunity to thank you if you've subscribed, liked or comment or shared anything. Your support really does mean the world to me. And speaking of the world, I seem to have viewers from the UK, United States and South Korea, Indonesia and Germany as well. Everybody's welcome. Thank you. I'm mixing up the same yellow and the same blue just to make it a bit more greener this time. And imagine where the shadows might be. So this leaf is behind the petal. So just imagine it be a little bit darker there. And also just to give the leaves a bit of variation as well. You never get a leaf exactly one colour. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just mixing up and adding some slightly different green shades. If you'd like to say hello in the comments, say hello. Let me know where you are in the world. I have got some other videos where you can produce or create flowers and leaves quite quickly, and if you would like to look at those, I will leave those in the description box for you as well. Feel free to have a look at those. I just wanted to do something that was going to take a bit more time, but you do get a lot more sense of achievement out of it. And if you look at the final picture that I've created, you'll see why. It's taken an hour, but it really is so worth it. And there's no reason why you as a beginner can't do this. You absolutely can do it. I'm hoping this is dried now. Yes, that is much better. So we're going to go back and finish off these petals. And do you see how when you paint over the masking fluid, it's kind of a weird effect. It sort of repels the paint. Very strange, very weird. I'm still not sure if I like masking fluid as yet. Like I said earlier, when I used it, I think the paper wasn't that good. And when I rubbed the masking fluid off, it sort of took the paper off with it. So I am a bit nervous when I come to rubbing the masking fluid off. Same thing we're doing with this petal. Pop your watery pigment onto the petal. You can go slightly darker towards the end of the petal or the centre of the petal, like so. Just add little touches here and there. Don't slap the paint on. Just nice and gentle, moving the paint around, adding some little touches of slightly darker pigment in places, just a little bit, so you don't overdo it to start off with. And what we're doing is we're gently building up the layers. Yes, it's taken a while, but I promise you it will be so worth it when you see the end results. Don't be afraid just to add a few bold colours here and there like I've done here, and then we're just going to blend it out nicely into the petal. So you've got some of these darker areas, as you can see in the picture, the flower in the picture. We're just going to do this final petal now exactly the same way. We are repeating the same technique. You can use a slightly bigger brush if you'd prefer, and then switch to a smaller brush for the details. I just liked using this brush because I can do both. I can do the details like I'm doing here, and I can do a larger area as well. But again, it's whatever you prefer. If you've got a bigger brush, you can use that. If you have got a smaller brush and you're more comfortable with that, you can use a smaller brush. It will just take a little bit longer. I'm not sure what's happened here, but as I'm brushing, I think a little bit of the masking fluid has somehow come away, or I'm not sure if it was in the water and got caught in the brush. So that's what I've done here. I'm just picking that away. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what's happened. I've realised as well I forgot to add a touch of yellow in, so I'm just going to add that in now. I'm not sure if you can see this in the camera. It started to bloom, so you get that, they call it the cauliflower effect, where the pigment has just bloomed within the water and it's not a smooth finish. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to rinse my brush, dry it off a little bit, and just sort of blend it into the petal. So if that does happen to you, that's all you need to do. Really easy, really simple. Because it's all still a touch bit damp, you can still sort that bit out. So can you see here, I've left a gap because in the picture there is like a shadow. So all I'm going to do is, I've got this red and permanent rose as well that I've already been using. I'm going to add a touch of ultramarine deep blue just to make it like a purpley effect, so it's not too dark. If you go in with black or too dark a colour, it's not going to look like a shadow and it's going to look a bit odd. So again, we're going to build up the layers and not go in too dark at this stage. This is still the first layer. I know it's taken a while, but don't go in too dark. Still keep it a shade darker, but not too dark. I hope it makes sense. And I'm just going to add in a few little dark shadowy areas as well. Don't forget, we're just using the picture as a guideline. It's not going to be exact. And I'm just going to add some final few touches just to add in the shadowy areas, just so that we know where they're going to be. And I think that bit is going to be it for this first layer. I think what I am going to do is the centre of the petal, because it's all pretty much dried. Just take a little bit of Payne's grey and make up a runny watery solution like this, and just go in with the Payne's grey. After I had done this, I did think perhaps I've gone in a bit too dark too soon, but overall it does actually still work as the end, as you'll see in the end results. So feel free to go quite dark with this. I did add a tiny bit of that ultramarine blue as well, just to give it a bit more depth. I hope you've enjoyed this first layer, and I hope you have a go. Like I say, you can download the outline from my Etsy shop. I'll make sure all the details are in the description box. And I hope you will join me for part 2 when we do the next layer. Don't forget to leave a comment. Let me know where you are in the world. Just say hello. YouTube recommends you watch this next video, so why not take a look? See you soon. Take care. Bye.